All right. So, Nims, you've been traveling a fair bit.
Yeah.
In the past few years, you've gone to various places. Which is one of the nicest places you like going? And is it safe for women to travel?
You know, Soups, in the last 2 years is when I've actually discovered solo travel. And it is so liberating, not just for a woman, but I would say for a human being. Every person, male or female, should take out time for themselves, minus any sort of accountability, responsibility, and explore places on their own. It's been a very, very liberating experience for me personally. And I've gone to the mountains both the times, last year as well as this year. And there's been a lot of self-discovery, a lot of introspection, a lot of fun, because I could do exactly what I wanted to when I wanted to, and I don't have to collaborate with anybody. Now, I'm not against collaborating or doing things with people. The experience which you have with people is also a lot of fun when you go in a group or with a family. But traveling alone is challenging because one's not used to doing it. There's always this question of whether I'm going to get lonely or sad, or whether what will I do with myself? We're not comfortable as human beings when we think about I'm going to be completely alone. What do I do? Have you ever traveled alone?
Yes, a fair bit. Yes, I love traveling alone. Actually, you find, I don't know, it's, I grew up in hostels, so while we were in hostels, we spent a lot of me time, There was a lot of lonely periods where you were bullied, you were sitting around somewhere, and I was also in a hill station, so it was kind of a place which was melancholic, it was quiet, and there weren't too many people around. So you would step out and you would go to the mountains and sit there. So actually that got me thinking that you could travel alone. And then later in life, I did some travels alone with a motorbike and, to places which are remote, either a beach or the mountains. And it was usually, in between love affairs and heartbreaks, because that's the time that you actually think that, okay, what's gone, wrong, or how could it be better? And during those periods is when you would travel alone. And that got me thinking that, and wasn't really seeing too many women travel alone at all at that time. Very few. Okay, there were a few Westerners who were traveling on backpacks and, coming there, but kind of holding it to themselves. Men, on the other hand, can have random conversations with anyone, many a times on a bike ride, you would be having truck drivers who would actually come in and say, "Arey, kyun akele ja rahe ho? Kidhar ja rahe ho? Kya ho gaya?" So, you have to recreate a story every now and then saying, "यार पता नहीं घर से निकल गए, संन्यास लेने का सोच रहे हैं." So you could मजाकिया तरीके से आप कहीं भी जा सकते हो उसमें. फिर अफसोस की बात तो ये थी, कुछ ट्रक ड्राइवर यहाँ वहाँ मिल भी जाते थे. तो आपने एक कहानी कहीं बोली और आगे ही उस हाईवे पे आप आगे चले गए, वहाँ फिर से वो बंदा आ गया, पर पिछली बार तो तुमने कुछ और बोला था. तो ये 2 एक बार हुई. So the fact is, and that's the fun part of travel.
I completely agree, because when you're traveling alone, somehow you are more open to new people and new experiences. Like I too would speak to anybody and everybody. The driver who picked me up from the airport and dropped me off to Dharamkot has become a friend now, and last year also he picked me up, and this year I contacted him directly and said, okay, I'm coming, pick me up at so and so time. And similarly, wherever I went, I encountered people who were either solo travelers or very, very open. Like, I feel when you're alone, then you are more receptive towards other people as well, and more curious. एक curiosity होती है जो normally आप नहीं दिखाओगे किसी और की तरफ, because आपके पास आपका group है, आपकी family है. But जब आप अकेले जा रहे हो, आपके पास कोई नहीं है. So उस time you are more receptive. Of course, I feel for a woman, especially in India, safety is definitely an issue. One has to be very safe about where you're going to be staying, whom are you going to be associating with, and how much risk will you possibly take when you're talking to a stranger. Because a lot of strangers are also very, very over friendly. So that requires a little bit of, a personal radar, which needs to be very alert when you're traveling solo as a woman.
Right.
And also, I would say, be careful about whom you would associate with if you're out drinking, supposing, because there are all sorts of elements. So, while the age group of people, and women especially, who are traveling alone now is starting in the 20s. I have encountered a lot of solo travelers who are straight out of college, young girls. And I feel very happy when I meet them, because I feel that the generation today has a sense of self-belief that I can do this. And especially as a woman and as a girl, I feel very proud. But at the same time, we are living in a country where, you have all sorts of incidents. So, safety.
Did you have anything to tell them when you sit down? What do you tell them? What do you usually speak to them about?
I mostly try and figure out about their backgrounds, where they're from, and I've realized that most of solo travelers with whom I've met are wanderers, are explorers, and which makes me think that somewhere within me also that explorer exists. Because a person who chooses to travel alone is already on some sort of a journey. I don't know if you agree with me.
No, I agree. So just what's your big high? So what is it when you're traveling? Like you said, I'm looking for a journey. What are you looking for when you travel?
I personally, I think for me, the solo travel has given me a sense of freedom and independence, which I was missing. I am a working woman. I am married. I have 2 children. I have a full life from morning till evening. And sometimes in that busy space, socializing, friends, family, I felt I was getting lost. The me in me. And by going alone and spending that time with myself, only myself, which was initially very scary, I feel now more and more comfortable with me. And I also feel that a part of me which was kind of hidden or was getting suppressed, I'm able to find it. And now I've come back to say the reality of my life. And I can approach it with a very refreshed outlook. All holidays are refreshing, whether you do it with family or alone. But it gives you a better appreciation of the life that you have.
Right.
As well.
And so when was it after marriage? When did you start traveling alone? When did you first try?
It's just been a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah. And last year, for the first time when I traveled alone, I was scared. Scared that I would be depressed. I would be lonely. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. And which is why I did a very short stint of about 3 days. And I think that's a very good strategy that I employed, because it gave me a perspective that, okay, this is not bad. I can do this and I can stretch it a little longer. So this year I've gone for a week. I would like to do longer, but of course we all have our commitments.
Yes. So last year, where did you go? Or where was the first thing or the first step that you took? Where did you try?
So for me, I think it's been the mountains, but it's all very subjective and personal. Whatever place I think calls you, you feel drawn towards, you have a calling towards, and I think it's the mountains for me. We've gone to the beach, a billion times because living in Bombay. But for me, it's been the mountains.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Sups?
No.
Huh?
No. So
When was the last time you traveled alone?
No, now actually, of late, I go to Alibag and it's right around the corner. The good part is that there are so many places to explore right there. And Joe doesn't have a problem. She's like, you go. I have the farm guy. I have Abdul with me, and he takes me traveling anywhere. So he's the guy who's the caretaker there. and he's a tribal fellow. He knows the mountains or the hills around inside out. So, and there are 5 or 6 hills around the house, and each have a 5 to 6 hour trek, which is spectacular. And it's in the village. So actually, it's like Tagore's poem that you go searching the world and then you come back, and right on your backyard you find this little dewdrop. And when you look at the dewdrop, you realize that the whole world is in that dewdrop. So my realization is now right there.
Those kind of realizations happen only when you travel alone.
That's right. And when you sit around and you say,
yeah,
why are we doing this? And now I've told that to Joe as well, that look, yeah, we can take these long holidays outside or somewhere, but when you can get equal, if not more, right here, and good food, and it's your own house, why would you do it anywhere else? But obviously, it's important to travel. Last, when I did it with my sister, we were in Kashi, and Banaras is also so pretty. And it was, not with Joe and Maya, so it's basically with my sister. And we both were there for my, mother's ashes to be immersed in the Ganga. That was also a beautiful experience for both of us. We traveled on the river to various temples, and we had these guys who were actually with us, and they were moving around with us, who I know from long years. Now they're wrestlers. So eventually we went to every temple, and even those temple visits, which I didn't feel that we aren't religious, at least I'm not. I'm God-fearing, but that's not something that I would do. I wouldn't go to temples. But in this visit, I actually entered every temple, bowed down my head, and I said, look, God, something's there, and Banaras has that.
Yeah.
That's one location or one city or one destination in India, or there must be many more, where you really feel that people come to the Almighty and submit themselves.
Yeah.
And when you allow that, that's when new realizations happen. And yes, we're getting older. I guess we post 40. I'm on the other side of the fag end of 40. So now I feel as you're realizing life in a brand new or absolutely new avatar. And when you see those fires burning on the ghats of the Ganga, it gives you a different realization that life is just a flashing light. And today you're right there, and tomorrow you'll be gone. And it's only when you travel would you be able to realize this, because that's when you're moving. You're moving through time, and you're moving through your emotions, you're moving through life, and it's all happening. And here is the Ganga, which is kind of, which is seen so much. So it's actually the mother of it who's seen it all. Yeah. And she's right there watching you, and she knows you're not going to be there for much longer. But at the moment, enjoy this, because I am beautiful.
Yeah. It's so amazing that you say that. I had a similar kind of feeling when I was in the mountains, and I was sitting over there and I was looking at these snow-capped mountains, and I was thinking that 1 billion years ago this was all underwater at some point.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just fly into the valley somehow, and you realize the smallness of your life. You're so small in so many ways, and how you let things consume you, and issues and things which are so irrelevant.
Yeah. So
lives.
actually, it brings us to the next one, where we're actually discussing travel, but actually travel is philosophical. It's actually discovery of your own self. It's poetry in your own.
Yes.
Where the moments come to you, because otherwise they don't never come to you. When you're in your day-to-day life, in the city, on your work, what you're trying to do, you never get this.
Yes.
You only get it when you're moving around and you're traveling, and you let your mind loose, saying, I have no agenda. I'm just going, flowing with it.
Yes. And see, in a group, you may be appreciative of the place that you are at, but you will also be consumed by an agenda. I have to go here, I have to do this, I have to see this monument, and also you're in a group setting, you have to take care of each person's opinions and thought processes and everything. Basically, when you're alone, there's only you to do the thinking for yourself, and then you choose a different path. One thing which I was thinking, which you said was very interesting, was that Joe permits you or allows you to do that. we as, married people in our 40s, still require a certain permission from our spouses to do these kind of things. And it is considered very bold, especially for a woman. For you, it might be easier, you being a man, but it's a very bold step. It's considered a bold step for a woman, which I really hope should change, because people need to be appreciative of what that experience brings to your life. And only if the man and the woman both go and have this experience. So, for example, Asim is saying that now he wants to go on a solo trip in September, October this year. And I was absolutely for it. I said, please do it. Please go for it. And I feel these are new experiences which probably are coming into the Indian space now. We've been a fairly conservative society.
No, we are very conservative.
We are very, very, and we still are.
Yes.
You can only limit the open-mindedness to the cities.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis what was happening in, say, the 60s or the 70s in the West.
Yes.
Where solo travel and people, all the hippies were moving here and there all across the world.
Right.
So it's taken us as a
whole
community
generation,
a
and
long
especially
time.
and especially women, for sure.
Yes.
I don't know if in my mother's generation they could have, though she came a long way to be in university, but later on it was taboo. Wherever she went, she would be asked for. And even Joe would say that even now if she travels home, she'll be asked the question, where is Soups? Why aren't they traveling?
Yes.
But here's my little thing about why I said permission. It's actually, marriage is a great place where respect is mutual, and therefore permission is not to say that she permits me, but the fact is that I want to ask her that I'm going to do this. Are you okay? And if she's okay, then it's much nicer.
Much nicer.
That's what I meant by it.
Yes.
And I guess from the flip of it, we are on the I'm on the later end of 40, so actually it doesn't matter what others think, because their judgment is theirs. I can't change it. It's going to be theirs forever. But so that doesn't affect me at all. But the fact is that I still want to ask her that I'm going to do this. Are you okay? And I like it when she says, "Yeah, go do it." Like I'm assuming that because Asim is also a very giving guy. Whatever little I've known him, I know that for men of our generation and of the or the social system that we live in, few and far between who are allowing women to be just themselves. I don't know. And he's one of those who doesn't even state it. Like it's not like I have to state it to Joe.
Yes,
it's like
absolutely.
It's a given. It's
Absolutely.
your life. You will do what you have to do.
Yes.
And हम परिपूरक हैं एक दूसरे के. बस इतना ही है. We have our paths to take and but the journeys to have as well. But it's so interesting that travel is reveals something in you.
It does. It does.